Welcome to Saddlebow Road, Kings Lynn, where conditions and the weather absolutely ideal for one of the most important international occasions on the British Speedway calendar. For the UK qualifying round of the World Team Cup not only brings the world's best riders here to Kings Lynn, but it also gives England the chance to restore a bit of pride after their recent defeat in the Test Series at the hands of the United States. The USA once again the team to beat here, but there's some outstanding talent in each of the four nations represented. Leading the USA lineup, Bobby Schwartz, then Dennis Sigalis, Lance King, and Sean Moran is very much the man in form. The inspiration for New Zealand could well be their captain, the 43-year-old six-times world champion, Ivan Major. For England, well, they'll be looking for inspiration from Michael Lee. At the moment, he's saying he's disenchanted with the sport and its rule makers, but this is the track and this is the event that always seems to bring the best out of Michael. And look out also for the two local Kings Lynn riders. That's Captain Dave Jessup and the evergreen John Louis. And there's a local hero leading the Australians. That's the Ipswich captain Billy Sanders, who along with Phil Crump has already gone very well on this Saddlebow track this season. So four outstanding lineups, and the task facing England is to finish in the top two, because it's those top two that go on to the next round, the Intercontinental final in Sweden next month. Right, on with the action, we join our commentator, Dave Lanning.
The lineup for Heat 1 with England having so much to race for. On the inside, in white, Dave Jessup, England skipper and home track specialist. He will be riding in the white helmet colour. Grid 2 has Larry Ross from New Zealand in blue. Grid 3, the mercurial Sean Moran in a red helmet colour for America. And on the outside, Phil Crump, who knows his way around Saddlebow Road here at Kings Lynn, having recorded a maximum here for his British League club, Swindon. It's an event where you really can't afford to finish last. Four very, very evenly matched nations here. England with everything to go for pride-wise. This is Heat 1. We'll watch for the start. And away they go, and up to the first corner. It is Jessup and it is Moran. Moran and Jessup are coming hard around the outside. It is Phil Crump, and Crump in the yellow and black helmet colour moves into second place. Moran leads it. Second place Crump. Third is Jessup. Say that he enjoys himself in East Anglia. Jessup's under some pressure at the back there from Larry Ross. Well, I'm sure if they held the World Individual Final here in East Anglia, this lad would start favourite. Sean Moran, World Long Track Champion, and really he has taken them apart here in Heat 1, which was perhaps a little predictable. Jessup's a long way back in third place. This is Moran going into the last lap. Second place is Crump. And third place is Jessup, a long, long way back. What, 40 lengths, 50 lengths. Moran looking over his shoulder for Crump. He should be able to withstand him, although Crump is making sure he doesn't go to sleep. So a win for Sean Moran, his second place Crump, third place hanging on Jessup. So fine start from the Americans, and England collect 1 point, which isn't too clever. Well, this is Lance King, the second American in this UK final of the World Team Cup in Heat 2, riding in the red helmet colour, 20 years old, a world finalist individually last year, one of the outstanding young talents in World Speedway. Lance King rides for Cradley Heath, already a seasoned international performer, beautiful, smooth stylist. Has been suffering from a poisoned right foot. It looks like it just might be strapped there, you can see. Doesn't seem to slow him down much, mind. Heat 2, there's Billy Sanders, of course. Sanders, the linchpin of the Australian quartet, has had a spell here at Kings Lynn, now back with Ipswich, comes from Rooty Hill in Sydney, but number 2 in the world last year, we recall, in Norden. So on his day, he really is capable of meeting and beating the best. Billy Sanders, who the Australians will be looking to, I think he's just looking up to the referee to say, could they please put the green starting light. When the green light comes on, they're under starters' orders, and in this bright sunshine, it may be difficult just to pick it out. It's normally down on the 30-yard post. And Sanders, after a spell here at Saddlebow Road, should be well acquainted with the sighting of the track lights. This is Simon Wigg, Wiggy, the English rider, as they turn around. Let's have a look at Wigg again. Well, comes now from the Oxford lineup with Cradley Heath last year, lives in Newport Pagnell, one of the great emerging talents for the English, outstanding graduate from grass track racing, incredibly only in his second season of British League racing, but he has taken to international speedway like a duck to water. perhaps that's appropriate because he was born in Aylesbury, famous for its ducklings. Let us then look at the lineup for Heat 2, with the Americans on 3 points, Australia on 2, England on 1 after the first heat. On the inside, blue, Mick Shearer, a really speedy customer. He'll be in blue. Next to him, Lance King from the United States in red. Grid 3 has Billy Sanders from Australia, and on the outside it is Simon Wigg from the Oxford Cheetahs in the British League. And the English will be looking to Wigg here. They cannot afford to drop any more points, really. It's going to be a tough old heat number 2. And the starters' orders now, and well, we saw the tapes being touched there, away they go, and it's Wigg as they all pile into the first corner. Great start from the young Englishman. Wigg in front, Shearer is second, and Shearer has gone down, and so too has Wigg, and down they have all gone, and Lance King hit the fence with a tremendous wallop, but it looked like Shearer was the cause of that one. He reared, and all 4 have gone down, and well, we're going to have to pick them up out of that. Well, let's have a look at that spectacular 4-man pile-up. Again, from the start, you will see the tapes are being touched. The referee is lenient with that. They're working under FIM regulations. Away they go. Now, it is Wigg who gets away from the outside. It really is a super start from him. It is Wigg on the outside and Shearer in the blue helmet on the inside. Wigg in white. Shearer, you can see Shearer already seems to be picking up some drive. Now, what happens? He's got his front wheel over the inside edge, that's for sure. And as he comes out of the corner, he rears up there and knocks off Wigg. And, well, we've got King with nowhere to go. Does brilliantly well to get off. And Sanders goes in, but Lance King there in the red helmet colour hit the fence with a wallop. But my word, he deserves a medal for avoiding a fallen colleague. A really tremendous piece of evasive action. Well, there is Lee, who's gone across to inspect the damage and debris. And it looks like King is up on his feet there with Dennis Sigalos and Sean Moran, the American teammates, of course. That's a big, happy family. They'll be pleased to see this young man because he did give the fence a fearful wallop.
Simon, heading for the restart. Obviously, you're okay.
Yeah, I'm a bit shaken up, actually, you know. I hope it doesn't affect me at all.
What did you see as happened there?
Well, I sort of moved out when I hit a little bit of grip there, and it sort of gave Lance the opportunity to get where he was. But when he turned back to get under me, he must have picked up, and I just saw this front wheel next to my left ear roll, you know, and that was that. But it was a bit of a shake-up. I hit my head a little bit, you know. But
so bumps and bruises, where does it hurt most?
In the pocket, I was smashed my bike up.
Well, such was the force of the impact of young Master King hitting the fence that he has demolished the length of the boarding, and you can see the Kings Lynn track staff have very speedily found a replacement piece of boarding and will be repairing the fence before we go back into the action for the restart of Heat 2. And it could be that the Americans will be introducing their reserve. This is John Cook definitely coming out for the restart, replacing Lance King, who must have been shaken by that entanglement with the safety fence. No real surprise. Cook is a tremendously spectacular character. It is number 17, John Cook, coming in. The cowboy will look to him already. He's been warned this year by referees for his spectacular mono-wheeling, which many consider to be dangerous, although many more of us consider just add a little spice of showmanship to the sport, and we can do with that. So moving into Heat 2 with the Americans, we remind you, 1 point ahead of Australia, who are in turn 1 point ahead of England after one race. And we have 3 starters only, but Shearer, rightly adjudged to be in the cause of the Holocaust at the first time of asking in Heat 2, is excluded, so New Zealand have no starter. The Americans play John Cook in the red helmet colour. He'll be on the inside as we look at them in grid 2. Next to him we have Billy Sanders in yellow and black for Australia, and on the outside in white, Simon Wigg for England, who will be feeling a little upset. He seemed to be clear when he was really picked up out of the blue by Mitch Shearer at the first time. So here we go for Heat 2. Can Wigg get away again for England? And they are impatient, and away they go this time. And again, it is Wigg who gets across the field. Wigg leads it. Cook is second. In third place, it's Sanders. And Wigg going away there. Sanders comes through on the inside of Cook cleanly. And inside Wigg as well. And Wigg is aware of him. Suddenly they all tighten up. And here comes Billy Sanders. And we have a real race on here. Sanders just has to drop. Cook is in there as well. And here comes Wigg again. And then 3 abeam. And Wigg is back in third place as Cook moves through. And this really is a tremendous piece of speedway. It's Billy Sanders, who really did show some determination there on lap 1. He now has Cook after him hard, and Wigg is being dropped off. This isn't too good news for England, and Cook is in trouble. Cook's machine has given up. And Wigg will go around into second place. This is Sanders unaware. He must be aware that the challenge has suddenly stopped. Wigg is second. And where is Cook? Cook's a long way back. You can see suddenly they're all spaced out here. And John Cook is going to have to push a whole lap to get the point. Here is Sanders. He will collect 3 points for Australia. Will take them into the lead. Second place, we have Simon Wigg. Now, where is John Cook? Because Cook's bike has stopped. He's right the way back round on the first corner. This is Sanders looking around. And let's pick up John Cook. He's got a long way to go. It's very hot out there. He must finish the race within 3 minutes, and he can claim that 1 point. But it's a very long push for this American John Cook. He needs to be fit to do this. The machine may be lightweight, but it'll start feeling heavy any minute now. He's still got half a lap to go with 374 yards around here at Kings Lynn, and John Cook is feeling every yard of him. A lonely man and a long way to go. Well, they really were a tremendous first couple of laps. We can see here Wigg gets away, Sanders is squeezed up, really nearly has his front wheel off. Cook's in second place here. Now watch for the rider in yellow and black. Billy Sanders back in third place, locks back brilliantly, gets down the inside of Cook there, perfect piece of overtaking, and goes running up on the inside of Simon Wigg on the outside in the white helmet. And Wigg is aware of him and manages just about to squeeze him out, but Sanders will not be denied. He is in front. And watch again for Cook. He is back in the picture. And as they hit the pit corner for the second lap here, there's hardly daylight between the three of them. As Sanders is in trouble, Wigg goes around the outside, Cook tries to get on the inside, and that was the moment when Simon Wigg lost the second place. There is the action up front with Sanders now clear and going for home. We've got to Cook there, you can see bumping and humping behind him, but Sanders there with that fine first lap really collects the 3 points.
John, you're the man to tell us how fit you have to be for this sport.
Real fit, I'll tell you. Even, out there riding the bike, but that last lap of pushing there took a lot out of me. I feel like a scramble rider and just knackered, but let's hope this doesn't fall us back too much. I was around Billy, but it's unfortunate mechanical failures happen.
Not a serious problem with the bike, is it?
No, just a hose pipe fell off and drained all the fuel out, so shouldn't have happened in a meeting like this, but it did.
So with 3 heats completed, here are the scores with the Americans in the lead on 7 points. England and Australia tied up on 5 apiece. New Zealand back on 1. It's clear there's going to be no easy passage for England here at Kings Lynn this afternoon. And we move on into Heat 4. And there is one of the great legends in motorcycle sport, Ivan Major, at 43 years old, coming in for the New Zealanders. And Major, who started his British career back in 1957, and amazingly, that was before 11 of this afternoon's contestants were even born. Ivan Major, the old fox here in blue, he's on the inside, he's a crafty old starter, and he might just be the man the New Zealanders need to lift their performance. They're back in last place at the moment as we look across the line. On the inside, it is Major. Next to him in red for the Americans, their inspirational skipper, the explosive Bobby Schwartz. Not too happy here at Kings Lynn, not one of his best tracks. Grid number 3 has Gary Guglielmi, a big, rough, raw-boned Aussie who puts himself around on the outside in the white helmet colour for England. We have Chris Morton, and Morton we have seen can really be devastating around the boards here at the Lynn. A really exciting spectacle maker, Chris Morton, and England could do with his own particular brand of points gathering here as we come into Heat 4. Inside Major, next to him Schwartz, grid 3 Guglielmi, on the outside Chris Morton. Heat number 4. Oh, they're all touching the tape, so the referee again is allowing it. This is caught under FIM rules, so he's a bit more in away this time. And who's to show? Looks like Guglielmi's got away. Guglielmi's in front. Second place is Morton. Third place is Schwartz. Here comes Morton around the outside, and Schwartz will go down the inside. Major is last, so it's Australia who lead. Second place, it is Schwartz. Third place is Morton. And they're all beginning to tighten up. Going on for second place. This is Gary Guglielmi, who's in control here. Morton trying to bore a hole down the inside of Schwartz. And Morton will switch his attack shortly towards the outside, where there does seem to be a little bit more drive. Guglielmi's a long way clear in front here. The battle is on for second place. This is Guglielmi into the last lap. And Morton must produce his party piece here if he's going to get around the outside of Bobby Schwartz, and Schwartz has moved out to try and cover him, and Morton has swung back inside. That was beautiful tactics from the little Bellevue ace, and an important point for England. A win though for Australia. Guglielmi, second place is Morton, third place is Schwartz, and that really has tightened it all up, with the Americans and the Australians now tied on 8 points apiece, and England one behind on 7. An important win for Gary Guglielmi, and one rather unexpected. The lineup for Heat 5 on the inside in white: Michael Lee for England, second place first time out. Next to him for the Australians, Gary Guglielmi, with a race win in the last ride, and looking very, very composed. Grid 3 has Mitch Shearer, who was excluded from his first start after really spread-eagling the field on the first lap. He's in blue, so it will be fascinating to see how he fares. And on the outside, it's Sean Moran, who has looked the complete master, certainly in his test match at Ipswich just down the way in his first ride here at Kings Lynn. Heat 5, and Lee on the inside, Moran on the outside. Guglielmi got away quickly last time. Let's see him as they go again. And again it is Guglielmi. Guglielmi hits the corner in front. What a start. And here comes Moran around the outside, and Lee's at the back. And Moran, has he got the line? He's just about got the horsepower. He's in front. Second place Guglielmi. Third place it is Shearer, and Michael Lee is at the back. And that is dreadful news for England. Here they go, and Moran, who didn't make the start, and then the inside of Guglielmi has come Shearer, but this is Sean Moran in front. And where is Michael Lee? Is he making up ground? Not really. Here's the battle for the odd points, and Shearer almost overdid that corner. No stopping Sean Moran. Into the last lap. Moran by a mile. In second place, still holding on. Here's Guglielmi, and Lee has been tailed off. And again, it's the old story for England of disappointment, and Lee is still making an effort to get the odd point, but Moran will win Heat 5, second place Guglielmi right on the line. It was a very close call. So 5 heats completed, and we look at the scores. It's getting to be a little bit desperate already for England. The Americans now on 11 points, Australia just one behind on 10, England back on 7, New Zealand on 2. Let's look across the lineup for Heat 6. On the inside, Lance King comes back into the action after having a very loud whack into the safety fence first time out. He's in red. Next to him, we will have in white Chris Morton, not one of the greatest starters in the world, we all know that. Grid 3, and the Australians play their reserve, Steve Regeling, Queenslander, now resident with the Kings Lynn Stars here at Saddlebow Road. And on the outside in blue, it will be Larry Ross for New Zealand. England then can ill afford to drop any further behind. They knew all about the Americans. They have got to start out scoring the Australians. And Morton in here will be looking indeed to try and register England's first race win of the afternoon. Heat 6, and England cannot afford to slip back any further. Here we go. Who will make the start? And up to the first corner, it looks like King's away, and so too is Ross, and Morton is third, and Morton coming through on the inside there. Morton in the white helmet colour, they all tighten up. It is King in second place and coming through hard for the Australians. It is Regeling, and it really is all action out there. Oh, what a first lap. Morton in front, second place King. Third place is Regeling. Regeling really is screwing it all on, giving it some welly. This is a much better picture for England with Morton in front and King under all kinds of pressure from Regeling. Back in third place, there's not much between all first 3. Oh. And Morton looks down at his machinery. That's not a moment. As King tries the outside run on him, and Regeling is still very much in touch as we come into the last lap. Nothing to choose between all 3, and here comes King through on the inside of Morton, and Morton has been moved over. Oh, again. Looks like his machine might just be slowing, and now he's got to hold out Regeling. Now, fine piece of speedway from Lance King. He wins it. Second place Morton just holding on. Regeling was third, close up. A real superb piece of fearless dive bombing from Lance King under Morton there. And we remember that this young 20-year-old from California went right through the fence in his opening ride. Doesn't seem to have slowed him up one jot.
Chris Morton, you looked in control, but then was it a mechanical problem?
Yeah, so as soon as I went out, before I got to the start, I knew I had trouble, that the engine was knocking quite badly, and it actually got worse from going from the back straight to the start line. It actually got worse. So I was there with about a minute left, not really time to get my other bike, so I decided to take the gamble and go for it. I found myself in front and not really able to race, so I had to nurse it round. I realised it would be better getting a second and probably having Lance get me than thrashing it all the way and losing it all at the end. So it was a bit of a tactical ride. I mean, Lance rode well to get me, but I wasn't perhaps going as hard as I could do. But
so that was you nursing it round, was it?
That was, yeah. We got 2 points out, which was better than like I say, better than none, you know. So reasonably happy with it. Depends on my other bike now. I've got to see if that's quick enough.
7 heats completed. The Americans really are disappearing out of sight. They're on 17 points. The real battle is for the other qualification place, with Australia on 12, England just one behind on 11. New Zealand, I think, are out of the picture unless they can stage a miracle recovery on 2 points. Heat 8 on the inside, we have Simon Wigg for England in white. Grid 2 in yellow and black, it is Phil Crump. Grid 3 has Bobby Schwartz, the American skipper, red. And on the outside in blue, it is David Barge. So Wigg must look for Crump. He can ill afford to finish behind the Australian, and also keep an eye open for Schwartz as well. And they're terribly impatient to go, and this time they are away. And who's going to hit the corner? It is Wigg in front. Wigg leads it. Second place coming hard around the outside. It is Barge, and it's getting very tight. Schwartz, it will just level off in front. Oh, not much to choose between all four here again. It's still Wigg in front for England. Second place Schwartz. Third place is Barge, and Schwartz again trying to dive bomb inside Wigg. England critically have not yet had a race winner, but Simon Wigg could change all that. Has moved into third place, having overtaken Barge from New Zealand. There's Wiggy in front, and Wigg has Schwartz right on his back wheel, and Schwartz has Crump just waiting for an opportunity to pounce. Must make his move around these last 2 corners. They will try and swing back now, and Schwartz must be aware of him there. Over the line, it's going to be the first win of the afternoon for England from Simon Wigg. Schwartz just holding on to second place. Third was Australian Phil Crump, and that presents a much better picture for England. They've now moved ahead of the Australians. They're still behind the Americans, but Wigg really doing a good job for
Kings Lynn, the UK qualifying round of the World Team Cup. England have fought their way back into that all-important second position, 1 point ahead of Australia, 5 off the leaders, United States. And with me, the England manager, Carl Glover. Any particular problems at the moment?
We had a problem earlier on with Simon's bike in the crash in Heat 2. He rolled the bike off. We've since replaced it with a complete new frame. Hopefully he should be okay, and now we can get back into the job properly.
And Chris Morton's bike problems?
Yeah, he had a big end going at the start of the race, but due to the 2-minute allowance applying to the reserve beforehand, Chris had to take the start. Unfortunately, Lance King passed him, but we should be all right on his spare bike.
So all round in pretty good shape. What are going to be the tactics for the second half, to stay ahead of Australia or go for the Americans?
We've got to go from the word go. I mean, if we take on the Americans, we're going to beat the Aussies. So, I mean, that's the thing to do. We've got to attack them now, and hopefully we can keep there.
Carl, best wishes for the second half. We'll rejoin commentator Dave Lanning.
Heat 10 coming up. The Americans, again, still so much in command, 22 points. England and Australia tied up on 15 points apiece. New Zealand, well, really we can forget about them now on 2 points. They surely are not going to have any further impact in this meeting and the overall qualification of the top 2. So that's the lineup for Heat 10, and it is the explosive but always erratic lead that all eyes will be on here. He's really got to get up and get into his winning rhythm if England are to come back with any real confidence in the second half of this UK World Team Cup final. Heat 10. And Major was nudging away. They go, and Lee got a flyer. Oh, what a flyer from Michael Lee. He leads it. Second place is Crump. King is in third place, but Lee really had a flyer, and here comes King through on the inside of Crump, and this is encouraging for the English. Lee in front, second place King, Crump is in third place, so and Crump there you can see mono-wheeling. Here's Michael Lee looking much more like the super bike, the bike that we have come to know and respect. It must be said he anticipated the tapes well, and it equally has to be said that when he did that on a test match, it was stopped. And it really did upset him, but there's no upsetting him here in Heat 10. And the battle on for third place here as they move into the last lap. And Crump has swung inside. Lance King into second place. That again could be important. So Australia move into second place here. And just when England looked like they might be shaking the Australians clear, Crump has moved up. Lee has won Heat 10. Second place is Crump. Third is King. Takes England clear of the Australians, but only just. Well, there's a tremendous picture of the start, and you can see Lee definitely was just moving, didn't touch the tapes. He just anticipated, and this is this man's skill and technique at the tapes, and when he does get in front, he goes very quickly. All over bar the shouting for Michael Lee, home and hosed after the first two corners. Just 5 races left in this absorbing UK final of the World Team Cup. Here are the scores, with the Americans on 26 points. England now have inched 2 points clear of the Australians. They're on 20, the Australians on 18, and the New Zealanders nowhere. And both the locked together second place nations here in heat number 12 bring in their reserves. As we look across the line on the inside, we have Steve Redgeling coming in for the Australians. He's on the inside and is a Kings Lynn rider. Next to him in blue we have Mitch Shearer from New Zealand. Grid 3 in white, and Carl Glover plays John Louis, the Kings Lynn specialist in white, replacing Dave Jessup out of touch, and on the outside it's Bobby Schwartz for the Americans. So really everything still to go for here in heat 12, and every point critical to both England and Australia. And away they go, and up to the first corner. Who will show? Oh, Louis been squeezed out. Schwartz has come across. Schwartz and Shearer together, and they're all locking up, and Schwartz has gone down. And it looked again as though Shearer was picking up and nudging and diving, and the American went down. He's okay and holding his hands up and says, what did I have to do? And it will be fascinating to have a look at that one again. Well, let's have a look, and we'll watch for Schwartz coming from the outside in the red helmet colour, and also keep an eye on the rider in blue, Mitch Shearer. You can see Louis get squeezed out in white. What does happen as they come into the apex of the corner? Schwartz is clear, and now Shearer moves right out and collects him there, and he did that earlier on with Lance King. Schwartz goes down, he's unhurt, but what is the referee, Graham Brodie, going to make of that? And it looks like Graham Brodie reads it exactly the same way as us, and that means Shearer will be excluded from the restart as being the cause of that incident. And so the restart of Heat 12 without Mitch Shearer excluded for being the cause of bringing down Bobby Schwartz. So 3 only. On the inside, Steve Redgeling, Australia. Next to him in the white helmet colour we have John Louis, and right out on the outside it is Bobby Schwartz, brought down but unhurt at the first time asking. Away they go. And up to the first corner, Schwartz will show. Redgeling is there as well. Louis did not make the best of starts, and it is Schwartz and Redgeling. And where is Tiger Louis? And Louis is coming around the outside beautifully. Oh, really got his wheels in line, and the throttle screwed open, and he's up into second place. Schwartz in front. Second place is Louis. Third place is Redgeling. And the Kings Lynn crowd getting behind this little East Anglian who has done so much for Speedway, and moves out on the outside of Schwartz and has gone from third, from last to first, and this is heartening stuff for England. And Schwartz now is under some pressure from young Redgeling. The Americans, of course, clear in front with a cushion of, what, 6 points into the last lap, 374 yards, 340 metres around Saddlebow Road. And the Australian Redgeling really is bursting a gut. This is Louis, and the battle is on for second place. Who will make it over the line? It's a nudge there, and right on the line Schwartz holds on for second place. England win it with Louis. Tremendous effort from the veteran. What a sprightly 40-year-old this man is. Second place Schwartz just holding on in there. Redgeling's effort only brings him 1 point, and that really could be the turning point for England. And the lineup for Heat 13 with the Americans on 28 points and England now 4 clear of the Australians, which is heartening news. 23 points England, 19 Australia. Looking at the lineup on the inside, the Australians have Gary Guglielmi. He will be in yellow and black. Next to him in blue, David Barge from New Zealand. Grid 3 has Lance King in the red helmet colour for America, and on the outside, the man of the moment in white, John Louis, coming in for his second successive ride. So if there's any question marks against his durability and fitness, they'll surely be answered here in Heat 13. Settling down, getting under starters' orders, are bringing them up into line, and they'll go at any minute now, and it's awfully impatient the way they go. And Louis from the outside surely will have the drop. Louis drops across onto the inside line. Guglielmi is second and third place. It is Barge, and King is at the back, and Barge has suddenly come from nowhere up into second place, and Guglielmi's having none of that. And Tiger Louis is having one of the great days in his career, a career which has taken him to third place in a world final. That's taken him across the world. He's been an England regular, and he really is proving to be their trump card here this afternoon. What a day for the Tiger. Second place Guglielmi, third place. The battle is thoroughly joined between Barge and King. This is Louis, and he's in front, and King is moving through into third place at the back. We'll just see that. Here's Louis signalling that he's seen the last lap flag. And England are going to gain points on the Australians, and Guglielmi really is all over the place in second. But Louis will bring the house down. Just listen to the crowd as he goes over the line to win heat 13. Second place there, Guglielmi third place. It looked like King getting up on the line, but the minor placings at this moment are unimportant. The crowd here are saluting a new hero. Well, one of the great joys of speedway racing is that it is a family sport, and the youngsters here enjoying all the fun and games of top speedway in the sunshine.
John, congratulations on both those rides. Where are you finding it from?
I don't really know. I think that's coming from the team spirit and the effort put in by all the boys today. Everybody's working for everybody, and everybody else is on their machines with them, willing them, and there's been so much team spirit. And also, we have a multitude of team managers today, all with the same sort of spirit, and that seems to have got through to the boys, and especially me. Yeah,
got through to you more than anyone else. Reassure me, you weren't really waving at the crowd during that last heat, were you?
Yeah, well, that was a little bit of excitement and I suppose showmanship a bit, but I was just thoroughly enjoying it, and yeah, it's nice to see that we get another 3 points to add to our tally, and perhaps we can come in there with a good second, or maybe even win.
And so the lineup for heat 14: on the inside in red, Sean Moran unbeaten. Next to him in yellow and black, Steve Redgling, the reserve. Grid 3 has Simon Wigg, and on the outside it is Ivan Major. So the Australians must gamble desperately with Redgling. Here is in yellow and black up to the line. It is Wigg who shows for England. Wigg in white. Second place, it is Moran almost running over his back wheel. Where is Redgling? He is swinging out where the dirt is, and Redgling is having a rare go around the outside. He's gone past Moran. He's out where the drive is, and he might just have the drop on Wigg. He has indeed, and that was a tremendous first corner from the young Australian, and he's in trouble. His bike has stopped, and that's terrible luck for Redgling, and surely the Aussies' last chance is now Wigg and Moran are battling up for the first place points. 3 points, of course, at stake here. And Redgling, for all his bold endeavour, is out of it, and Wigg can hold on here in front of Moran. That will surely anchor England in a place in the Intercontinental final. Wigg in front, Moran right on his back wheel in second place, and a long, long way back, Ivan Major in third place. Well, Wigg has won a race and had 2 seconds. He really has been the sheet anchor of this England performance, and has been an important factor in their revival after the interval, and he is going to win it then really fist the air in triumph. He wins it. Second place Moran, third place will be Ivan Major, a long way back. So coming into the last race, heat 16, and it is all over bar the shouting. Let's have a look at the lineup for heat 16. On the inside there we have Bobby Schwartz in red for America. As always, Bob doing his solid team performance. He has 5 points so far from 3 starts. Next to him in yellow and black it is Billy Sanders with 6 points for Australia. Grid 3 has Larry Ross, who rather surprisingly has failed to score for New Zealand. A real seasoned, polished professional. Should have done better than that for Larry. And on the outside it is Michael Lee, who has won a race in a second and a last. One of England's very few last placings here this afternoon. So here is heat 16, and there is Michael Lee in close-up. Tremendous picture. Lee on the outside here, so if he does get the break, he'll really swing across the field. Sanders in grid 2 is a fast starter, and so too on the inside is Schwartz, and it is Lee who's taking a long time to settle. He is such a twitchy character at the start. It's got him into trouble, 1 or 2 referees this year. He's been on his best behaviour this afternoon. Here we go for heat 16. And away we go going up to the first corner. It is Schwartz in front and Lee coming hard around the outside, and coming through on the inside it's Larry Ross from nowhere, and it's getting a very bit tight down the back straight there as Sanders swings through into second place, but it is Michael Lee in front. And England's second half revival is looking complete. Lee a long way in front. Second place now is Sanders. Third is Ross, and Schwartz, who got squeezed out on that first lap, a very torrid first lap, is back in last place. This is Michael Lee, a much happier day for his fortunes and indeed for England. And when he's going this quickly, he really does look the complete rider. He's in front, absolutely in total control of the last race, and England are going to finish with a flourish. So Lee wins it on his back wheel. In second place it is Sanders, third place it is Ross, and Bobby Schwartz at the back, but that really is academic. And Lee cocks a leg in triumph and punches the air, making the final scores in this always interesting and often entertaining UK final of the World Team Cup. The winners on 34 points, the United States of America. England doing well to revive and come storming through in the second part of the programme on 32. The Australians, a valiant effort on 25, and New Zealand in fourth position with only 5.
Michael Lee, it really seemed like a changed England team in that second half. What made the difference, do you think?
Yeah, I think we just saw the Americans in the first half. They had so much spirit and fight in them, and it just reflected upon us, you know, and we were a little bit dejected at being in third place there at one time, and just went all out to pull it back in the second half.
Spirits must also have been a bit low after that test series. How did you really build up the morale again?
Well, we've got a good bunch of boys in the team, you know, and let's face it, John Louis was our saviour today. I mean, he came in there and put 3 fantastic races together, pulled us through, and just everyone pulled their weight, and a fantastic day for us.
Great spirit in the pits in general, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, we were jumping about, everyone was helping one another, and that's the way we want it to be, and if we can keep going like that, fantastic.
Last time we saw you, of course, was that rather depressing day at Vauxhall. You were obviously very depressed. Have your own spirits been lifted at all?
Yeah, obviously, racing like today, you know, helps a great deal, and if I can keep it going like that, then the enthusiasm comes back.
That's good to hear. And a thought about the next round in Sweden?
Going to be difficult, but we'll be all out there having a go.
Michael, congratulations to you and the rest of the team, and with that very encouraging news from Kings Lynn, England in the Intercontinental final with the United States. It's goodbye from us.